how much is malaria problematic for the United States?
Malaria is not here in the United States.
Has there ever been any malaria outbreak in the United States?
It's been a couple of years. The whole goal is to eliminate malaria globally and any parasitic disease to the best of our ability to do that.
How far away from that goal?
Oh, well, as far as collaboration, so like you have the agencies here and also the ministries of health throughout the continent of Africa. So there's investigators there. There's collaboration with different universities. Thank you so much for having me. So I'm Dr. Ashley Payne. I am a scientist, a PhD trained scientist, an epidemiologist. I work for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, but I do not represent the CDC on this call. I am originally from Houston, Texas. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been here for almost 6 years. I am an innovative person, very laid back, very chill type person. So I like to, on the side of being a full-time scientist, I am a writer also. I have my business, Payne Sciences. It's a science firm, and the specialization is to provide scientific writing services, whether that's research papers, proposals, grant writing. Um, yeah, also like I help with college applications for aspiring college students who want to go to college, and also under that is the umbrella Payne, the scientist who writes. Sorry, the scientist who writes, and that's where my writing side comes out. My imagination comes out. So basically, from movie film reviews to sci-fi writing, mystical writing, fantasy writing, short stories. That's who I am. I am a bubble of imagination, a bubble of fantasy, a bubble of just overall, like, in whatever realm you want to say that has to do with fantasy writing being free, that is who I am.
All right, that's interesting. You're a bubble writer, you said. That's interesting. So you
Yeah.
write sci-fi.
Yes.
That's interesting. So
Yes.
tell me, where is that idea coming from?
Well, growing up, so movie wise, my favorite genre is sci-fi and fantasy. So I grew up watching The Twilight Zone. I grew up watching some Jim Henson movies like The Dark Crystal. One of my favorite, I think my favorite fantasy movie of all time is A Never Ending Story. And so what I like about that type of writing is that you can escape reality. So in life as adults, we all work, we go to school, we have different responsibilities. And so writing a sci-fi or a fictional story, it just helps me to escape reality. So a lot of times with my writing, I'll just jot down ideas that I get throughout the day, or sometimes I'll just get like a heavy download and I just sit and just write and write and write. And so that helped me to develop a few short stories. And I'm still like in progress on working on new stories, but I do have a couple, like a handful of stories that's copywritten. So I'm excited about that.
And what usually happens to this story? Do you take it forward? Do they become movie or do they become published? What happened to them?
Oh, well, right now they are on my site. There are two stories on my site. And so it's just there for people to see. So that's under the scientist who writes.com.
So, do you write more or you are more into, because I'm kind of curious now, as a scientist, what kind of occupy your day on a day-to-day life?
Oh, goodness. Yes. I really try to, it's definitely hard because full time, like I'm a full time scientist, right? My day starts very early, like around 5 a.m., getting myself together and also doing work. There are times when, like, my job, like, I'm working on the weekends, working on research and just working on different projects. I'm at the stage where I am balancing putting more energy into my writing because like I mentioned earlier, like just to the thought of feeling free and just seeing where my imagination takes me on paper, and then hopefully for others to see and read and come with me on whatever journey. So I'm working on just putting more energy into my writing. So percentage wise, I would say about oh my gosh, like 75% would go into my work life, and then the remainder is going into my writing.
That's fair enough.
So I need to
So
work on that.
you're working in CDC, right? There are
Yes.
some people that don't know what that. Okay, I understand that you say you're not really speaking for the CDC. Okay, you're a human being, so your experience is what we're actually looking for. Tell me more about that.
The division that I work in, so you have centers and then you have divisions. And so basically, infectious disease, parasitic disease, and malaria. So that's the bulk of the research that I do. So that involves human subjects research. So basically, when you have different research protocols, my job, well, part of my job is to make sure that human subjects are protected. So different participants who participate in different research studies, treatment studies, and that's globally. So we have field scientists who work throughout the continent of Africa, and they're providing aid to different tribes and different villages who may have some sort of parasitic disease or even malaria. So my part is to review their protocols to make sure that it's compliance and that there's no harm to the participants if they decide to be in the study. Another big bulk of my job is surveillance. So, for example, if there's an outbreak here in the United States, depending on what that outbreak is, my goal is to monitor different jurisdictions. Like you have the Midwest region. So my job is to look at data that's submitted from state health departments, and I'm looking for anything that may stand out that we need to look into more. So basically, monitor public health threats through surveillance and research.
Okay, but how much is malaria problematic for the United States?
Thankfully, by the great work of scientists at CDC, malaria is not here in the United States. So there's more attention to global work for that for right now. So thankfully, through surveillance and research and prevention and treatment, malaria is not here in the United States. Um, if there were to be any cases here, we would definitely be on it.
Has there ever been early malaria outbreak in the United States, or is it because of U.S. influence abroad that make it develop this center for disease control?
There there's been outbreaks, but it's been a while. It's been a couple of years. I would have to pinpoint the actual time frame, but there's been a few cases, but no major outbreaks like what you've seen in the past.
Okay. Tell me more about how do you embark on this research about malaria? Okay, because that is particularly important for me as an African. So that is, of course, other are also important, but this is particularly important because I'm coming from a region of the world where malaria is a serious case. Okay, so tell me about what do you do within this research? What is the A and B and C that you are putting together to get your Z?
Sure. So since I'm not global, I'm looking at the data that's collected from the field scientists and field epidemiologists who would be throughout the continent of Africa doing their research. So, what I'm doing, I'm looking at any risk associated with the treatment. I'm looking at the findings. For example, the amount of women versus men who may have malaria, the age range between adults and children, and to see the overall outcome of the treatment that's provided. And from there, if the treatment is working, you continue on. And then if not, then that's when leadership would possibly step in to kind of go in and amend some of the treatment. And the investigators, they would submit over their revised research protocol. They'll submit it over, and then I review it, and then we just send it up the chain further approval.
But these are colleagues that are in Africa collecting this specimen. Can you like tell me more about that? Like, what are they looking for? What are they collecting that they are sending for your review?
The specimen that's so I don't work in the lab anymore. I did start off in pathology and genomic medicine like years ago. So right now I do not work in the lab. So any specimen that's collected, there are labs throughout the continent. So any specimen, it could be processed there, right? And then any results, I could still see it because that information is sent back. And so from there, like I'm just reviewing like versus like a negative sample versus a positive. And from there, that's when more treatment is provided. But the whole goal is to eliminate malaria globally and any parasitic disease to like to the best of our ability to do that.
How far away from that goal of being able to eliminate malaria, just to look at one?
Oh my gosh, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but I will say that the agency, they are definitely like the field epidemiologists and scientists there, and even the lab, like we're all working to eliminate it.
Okay, all right. That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Mhm.
So, what do you like about the work that you do?
So I'm very curious. The work overall serving the public. Working in public health, for one, you take an oath to serve and protect, right? So things change almost all the time. You have unprecedented things that happen. Uh, New news may happen, a new outbreak, a new disease case may happen, and it's like you have to shift your day around. So taking that oath, that's pretty much saying that you have to be ready and you have to be prepared to stay as educated as possible, to stay up to date on treatment and ways to educate the public on what's going on. So I think my favorite part is making sure that the public is okay, and that's through my contributions, through the research that's provided, that's through the case investigation that's provided, that's through the scientific writing that's put out, that's provided. So educating the public and making sure that everyone is safe.
Is it a difficult job to do?
It's not difficult. I would say it takes um you just have to have a passion for research. Now, it can be very repetitious at times too, right? It's like you can be reading the same thing over and over. It could be like a different scenario, maybe, but the work is the same. Like you have the foundation of your work, right? Research basics, surveillance basics. So a lot of the work can be the same. It can just be a few changes that comes. So you have to have a passion for it. But when things change and shake up a little bit, that's when your eyes are just even more open. And it's like, okay, like this is what I'm here for. So let's continue to have the ball rolling.
All right. Surveillance. How do you carry out this surveillance? Could you expand more on that?
Sure. So there's a database that we use to monitor different regions throughout the year. And then throughout like certain times of the year, like let's just say, for example, allergy season, right? Especially here in Atlanta, um, allergy season may be what I feel like maybe like March, April that it'll start and probably end or probably like throughout the summer, right? So from January to maybe February or March, let's just say if it's an allergy surveillance, I'm watching the different regions to see if there are more reported allergy cases by the state health departments. They will let us know, right? And then they would also upload data in the surveillance system that we use. And if I notice anything like, okay, like this is February, so it's a little bit too many cases right now. So what's going on? So let me dig into it a little bit more. So if I find something, then that's when I'll contact the state health department. Let's just say, well, I don't want to say any name, but I will contact the state department and say, hey, like I noticed that this is going on. Like, can you get more information to us so we could look into it? Because they would probably hit the ground before we would step in. So if there's nothing there, we can move on. Now during allergy season, there could be a increase of cases like people going to the urgent care for allergy medicine, or even if they would have to be admitted to the hospital. If there's an increase in that, state health departments would let us know by entering that information into the database. And I see, okay, in March there were, let's just say, 5 cases uh, of allergy sickness. But in May, I see 125 cases now. So it's like, okay, like that's a big increase. And that does happen with other diseases. So the state, they would provide information, and then we would collaborate together to see like, well, where were these persons when they got their when their allergies like flared up, and what's being done at the state level, and this is what we would do at the agency level. And so we would continue to collaborate until the end of the season, and when things die down, when the cases are low, because the weather, the pollen, and all of that is down. So we would suspect um, that the cases would go down. But still, throughout the year, still um, perform their surveillance to make sure that everything is still under control. And then from those findings, that's where you see education like provided to the public, whether it's on a website or even a publication. This is what we noticed in 2025 or 2026 during allergy season, and this is what we've done to prevent
Yeah, right.
the outbreaks.
So in this process, do you know how much collaboration is going on within maybe area? Okay, again, we are talking mostly about the malaria because we cannot just look at the entire, all the whole disease that people are dealing with all the time, so that people can have a reference. We are talking about malaria again. Where how much collaboration is taking place between the US and maybe countries in Africa in terms of the data, the transfer, the understanding of what is happening in the local places, and um, how the malaria can be controlled, something like that.
Oh, well, as far as collaboration, so like you have the agencies here, and also the ministries of health throughout the continent of Africa. So there's investigators there. There's collaboration with different universities throughout the continent that we would collab with their scientists and their physicians to help be on the ground for treatment, and to provide data that's sent back to us to here in the States to review. So the collaboration, it's definitely a lot of great teamwork on both sides globally. Um, I unfortunately have not had the opportunity to do groundwork, or AKA field work, throughout the continent of Africa. So that's something that's definitely on my list to do, so I could have more experience to be out in the field to help. But as far as collaboration, ministries of health, different universities, and hospitals,
All
so
right.
they're collabing with us.
Now, let's talk a bit about you. Where did you grow up? Where were you born and where did you grow up?
Sure. So I grew up in Houston, Texas, on the north side of Houston, Texas. I grew up in an underserved community. Um, I'm not going to say that there was struggle for me because I'm like the youngest out of my siblings. So by the time I was born, like, like your older siblings, like they're able to step in and help your mother as she's working and taking care of the household. So I grew up big family. Um, I grew up a tomboy. I'm not sure if you know what that is, but basically, like, I like sports. I played with the boys, but also I was very close to my cousins. I had a lot of friends back home. So I grew up in Houston. I guess you can call it maybe the country life, horses, deer, um, good food. I had a really interesting childhood. I was very reserved. Um, that's because from what I can remember, like I was always focused in my books. I was always focused in my school life, which makes sense now. Like I still made time to play, but I was still like very school focused and oriented. So my childhood, it was a serious childhood, but also I did have time for play. And so from there, I attended Forest Brook High School. Well, I'll back up. I attended Fawnwood Elementary, and then I attended Northwood Middle School. And I remember even being in middle school, like I was just so quiet. Like I had friends, but I was the introverted person, right? I did participate in sports a little bit, basketball. I wasn't as great like my sisters were. Um, and then from there, I know I do remember having a strong love for science. I will say that like science being my favorite subject starting in elementary school, just how the planets, like how the solar system worked, like, and also anatomy and biology and like how the human body uh works and like the different processes. So that was my favorite subject in school. And then I attended Forest Brook High School. And there I started to open up a little bit more, like just to speak more, to smile more, to just say hello more, and just to interact um, with my classmates more. But it was definitely a good time there. And then that's when I fell, I guess, sort of in love with chemistry, and I'm not a chemistry major, so let's be clear. I'm not. But just like I like my love for science just grew more throughout my academic career. So from there, I attended Texas Southern University. I attended for about 3 years. Um, and then I'm not sure if you know the education system here in the States. It's a little bit different, probably from what you're used to, like as far as financial aid. But unfortunately, I had to stop attending, and I had to start attending community college because I had to pay out of pocket, and I couldn't afford the tuition. And I didn't realize this later. So when I left TSU, Texas Southern, I had 90 credit hours. So it's like I was so close to finishing because here, if I'm not mistaken, you have to have like 120 hours to get your bachelor's. It's like, so I had to like kind of go back some, but it's okay. So I attended Lone Star College, and I earned my associate's degree in biology. And then from there, I attended the University of Houston downtown. And so I continued on with that biology major, right? And so I took a course called health psychology, and it's not how it sounds. So, health and psychology, so think epidemiology, right? And that's when I learned about the CDC. So that was like my senior, like the end of my junior year. I took health psychology, and I'm like, I learned about the CDC for the first time. I dug more into public health, and that's when I knew, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I switched my major at the worst time. So they added a semester. And then I was accepted into a dual master's and PhD program at Walden University. So it was health psychology, but it's a statistic and epidemiology focused program, biopsychology. Um, and so, yeah, so I earned my master's and my PhD in health psychology. I did a postdoc. So I've had a very long academic career. And just thinking back to your first question, one of your earlier questions, like about the balance of work and my writing. So as you can see, it's like my academics took the majority of my time throughout life. But once I finished completely back in 2019 with my postdoc, that's when I'm like, okay, I'm getting older, more seasoned, I'll say. So I need to have fun and just tap into my hobbies. So I started to read again. I like to journal and go to the movies. Like those are my favorite hobbies. And I do have a 3-year-old dog named Kruger Sam Witwicky. We can talk about his name later. There's a whole reason behind it. But yeah, so where I am now, PhD trained scientist. I have amazing friends and family. I like to go to the movies. Like I said, write journal. I like to exercise. And just hang with my friends and the family that I do have here in Georgia. So I know that was a lot, but that's me. Yeah, I'm a dedicated and passionate person to myself and also to what I do. And I think that has helped me to just become whole. I'm a Capricorn, I'm a January Capricorn, so we can be a little serious, but we can also have a good time too.
That's lovely. So, what is a story of where you are coming from help you to be able to do your work better today, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
That's interesting. Was there anything that you were particularly passionate about, maybe as a young adolescent growing up? Okay, we know about the sciences now, but I'm sort of curious, even before then, if there was something that you were sort of pursuing more.
Oh goodness, yes. Oh my goodness, I'm just thinking about it. So, um, a fun fact, growing up, I had a blue bunk bed because I loved the color blue at the time, and I loved just all things outer space, astronomy. So my sister, she bought me a comforter set. It was a blue comforter set with the different planets on it and the stars, and it would glow in the dark. So originally, I wanted to be an astronaut. Like at a young age, I couldn't tell you much about astronomy. I was just reading, like we had those books at home, so I would just read into the different signs, the different houses and placements, and also I had books about the planets. I'm like, I really want to be an astronaut, right? So um, that's what led me to become a biology major in school. But things happened and things changed. But looking back, I definitely would go back and pursue my first goal of being an astronaut.
I see. You said something happened. What happened?
Well, I'll say this. So, growing up in an underserved community, people mostly worked, right? Like you would like the goal was to stay out of trouble and to have a job, like go to work and go home, go to school, and then you graduate and you get a job and you come home, stay out of trouble, and you're with your family. And growing up where I grew up, I mean, I didn't grow up around any astronauts. Um, going like having growing up around doctors, it was very rare. Like you have people who worked jobs, whether it's in fast food, um, it'll be a blessing to get a corporate job, right? So that's what I grew up around. And one lesson that has carried me, um, I started to share with people at a young age that I wanted to be an astronaut. And then when you're told, well, you can't do that, like you don't know any astronauts, like how you like I received those doubts, the projected doubts at a young age. And I was like, well, okay. Well, I'll just still go to college, but they're right. I don't know any astronauts. The only astronaut that I saw that looked like me at the time, it was Mae Jemison, right? But again, like that was rare, and so she's definitely an inspiration. But that's what happened, and I switched. Now I don't regret, how my life turned out because I've accomplished some amazing things and very successful. But I will say to people, just watch who you share your dreams and your goals with. And if you could help it, just keep it to yourself. And then when the time comes, if you even want to share, share it. Um, because when I was working on my PhD, people really didn't know. Like my family knew, like my mother knew, my siblings knew, like some of my close friends. But when I graduated, that's when you saw the picture. Like people didn't know. And I was glad with that because it was already stressful working on your PhD. I wanted to quit almost every month. I threatened to quit a few times too, but it was helpful to have a supportive committee throughout my PhD program, and I just kept it to myself. And then when I finished and I decided to let people know, that's when all the congratulations came in. Like, oh, like you didn't tell me anything. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you, but here you go.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Ashley. I really appreciate this time. So, tell me, what are you looking forward as we move into the future, as we look towards maybe the next 5, 10 years? What are you seeing?
Oh my goodness. I'm really trying to focus on today. But um, my goal with my business, Payne Sciences, and also the scientist who writes, I would love to be, and this is what I'm working on now, to be, and I could share this because things are in motion, to be a science consultant in TV and film, right? Because that way, like my imagination is on screen. My imagination, it's in book pages. So, a science consultant in TV and film, when you think of movies like Jurassic Park or even Spider Man, goodness, the X Files show, The Big Bang Theory, oh goodness, Grey's Anatomy, they have on set or even to like read scripts to be in the writers' room. They have actual scientists, or even the Nutty Professor. Have you seen that with Eddie Murphy? Right, and that's comedy, but there's still a lab, right? So they do have scientists and physicians on set or to help like with the script writing or reading to make sure that everything like for the most part is accurate. So that's my goal. So I see myself definitely achieving more of my goals in scientific writing and publishing. I see myself as one of the hottest science consultants in TV and film. I see myself 5 to 10 years from now definitely have laid more of a foundation for people after me to know that you don't have to stress about what you want and to just relax and to be open to receive. And that it's okay to work hard, but also allow yourself grace to have an easy life. 5 to 10 years from now, I just see myself having more of a positive impact, a known impact on more people. I'm a person of service. That's pretty much been my life. So if I can accomplish that to several people, then I know that my purpose has been met.
That's lovely. And I wish you a lot of success on that.
Thank
So,
you.
so what would be your final thought here into this episode?
My final thought, um, grace. And this is from years of self discovery, it's from years of reflection, it's from years of growth because once upon a time, I can say this, once upon a time, I was so hard on myself. But I had to just stop. Um, Become grounded, and not to be too deep, but I did a lot of shadow work on myself, a lot of prayer, a lot of healing, to just know that it's okay to just be subtle, to just be calm, to just have that balance. You could work hard, you could have a soft life, you could have an easy life. Um, so from there, I would say to enjoy the moment of what's happening. So, and I can give you two examples if that's okay. So, last month, I was working on, I have been working on something for a while. And then last month, it finally got approved, right? I was excited, happy, grateful. But then, probably like a couple of minutes later, I'm like, okay, so what's going to happen in the next 3 months? I have to like jump on it and keep going. And that drives you crazy, right? So I had to be calm and say, no, like I've worked on this. This is what's happened. So let me enjoy, right? So that's number one. And then number two, your podcast. Because for one, you found me on LinkedIn and I'm on LinkedIn, but oh my goodness, I'm not sure if you just scrolled and just, just saw like the feeds. It can be a roller coaster, right? And then you reached out for the podcast, for me to be a prospective interviewee. And then I'm like, oh goodness, like a million thoughts ran through my mind. I'm like, I've never just been on camera like that. But you know what? You saw something, and I would like to know like what that is or was. But when you gave me the green light, I'm like, okay, how do I prepare? What am I gonna do? Like just everything. But I'm like, no, like enjoy the moment. Like he gave you the green light and just enjoy. And like you said, which is what I appreciate from you, we're human and this is a human conversation. So I definitely appreciate your energy, your good vibes, and you just like learning me, like about me, and like it wasn't as technical, and that's what I appreciate about this human experience of an interview. So that's what I have.
Thank you so much for that, Ashley. It's been a pleasure here, and I really appreciate you sharing here. Yes, you're right. This is a human to human conversation. This is what we do here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate this opportunity, and I definitely wish you like much more success with your podcast. Do you see, if I can ask this, do you see yourself like with your own television show? Where do you see yourself going with your amazing podcast?
We tend to continue to expand here in the podcast so we can bring in more people to add more value to the community. If that may go into the television, where is not, we don't have any problem with that. We are here to serve.
I love that. Yeah, so I definitely, so with that goal and that dream, I can tell you that you definitely are a natural. Like you're very relaxed, and that helped me to be more relaxed and not overthink. So you definitely made me feel very comfortable. So I just send that energy that your podcast, it'll continue to reach thousands and millions and billions, and you could be overbooked.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you.
Yes, of course, of course.